Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Perlman. I want to make a video this morning that addresses sort of something that doesn't really get talked about enough when it comes to people making content and how it applies to you and your pain. So here we go. When you look at channels like Squat University, they do a great job covering what would happen if you had a hurt piriformis or pain in your hip or pain in your quad or pain in your hamstring or pain in your lower back, and then isolating down to the exact muscles or the exact joints as to why this might happen. And then they do a great job elaborating on certain positions and how to test and then what to do in terms of strengthening it or stretching it or making pain sort of go away. I hate ever using the term fix, and I'm certainly not going to put that in anyone else's mouth. And then you look at other channels, like mine, it might be, that chiropractic and a certain kind of an adjustment is like the answer. Of course, if you watch any of my content, you know that that's never going to be me saying fix. So what gives and how does that apply to you, and what is important to understand, and what's the takeaway here? So the takeaway is this: every individual is unique in the sense of their injury and the reason that they have an injury, and that cannot be not just underestimated by you, but it can't be overstated by us practitioners and providers. We must really understand not only why we're saying it, but also re-emphasize it as often as possible. Your individualized reason that you have pain needs to be assessed and addressed. That 99% of the time cannot be done over the phone, and at 99% over the time will not be done by you, the person who's in pain, unless you truly have an understanding of your body and some type of experience as either an athlete or a coached athlete or someone who has been through something many times at a high level in terms of an athletic or even just a functional move that you've done over and over correctly for so long, and then you understand the deficit. So why I'm saying that is, when you come in front of me, or you come in front of a very experienced kinesiologist or a very experienced trainer or a very experienced orthopedic doctor or a very experienced chiropractor, whatever, they are going to do the tests that they have spent years training for to rule in and rule out certain things. And then whether or not something is a trial of care, meaning is it passive, is it active, is it going to be that stretch, is it going to be that exercise, is it going to be that adjustment, is it going to be that massage, whatever's going on at that joint, you really don't know, not only until you put the trial of care, but here's the big issue, here's the big takeaway, at least with me always, is going to be most of the people, meaning you out there that are really going down the rabbit holes of places on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever to get your information, or even if you're reading books, if you're old school, you like touching the texture of the book or reading the book to find out these secrets or this insight of what might be holding you back from feeling better. Most of you, I was one of them, have very disabling pain that sort of limit you from trying certain things that what looks like a very functional, fit person might be doing. And if you try to embark on a lot of those, you can end up injured. And that's the greatest concern. And that's where I'm always coming from. I'm like, hey, really understand what you're about, the maneuver you're about to do, especially with lower back pain, because a lot of those moves can leave you much worse off than when you started. Nice example I like to give is when people ask me about inversion table. Oh, should I do an inversion table? Is an inversion table a good thing? And what I say is, look, depending on your back, it may or may not be a good thing. But what I can guarantee is if your back is bad enough, you'll likely get injured coming off the inversion table. So once it comes back up and recompresses, if that's not uncomfortable enough, bending down to unhook your legs that you had to strap yourself into, you can get hurt very often just coming off the inversion table, then thereby, let's just say, wiping any of the progress that would have happened from you hanging on it in general. So you got to understand there's almost a certain level of fitness that comes along with, or a certain level of stability that comes along with even going on an inversion table on your own. So that's sort of, the heads up. It's, are you going to move through ranges of motion that are going to make your problem worse? Are you going to do a stretch to consistently target that muscle that's going to make your problem worse? Are you going to a chiropractor who's adjusting your spine, telling you it's coming from a nerve, and it hasn't been addressed, and what you needed is the tendon to be pinned and stretched? Do you need shockwave therapy to break up scar tissue? Do you need massage therapy to not just pin and stretch, but also maybe potentially make the muscle a little bit longer? Break up some fascia with doing something that is, only a trained masseur or masseuse can do, right? These are highly detectable, nice, highly is a bad word here, these are detectable things that happen when you're in front of a professional that's going to take the time to do that kind of assessment and know how to make the recommendations based on, not only the mechanism of injury and what they've, discovered through doing a proper examination, but also not wasting your time. See, that's what it's all about. It's all about not wasting your time. It's all about not you doing things over and over again, expecting a different result, which I talked about in a video not long ago on my channel, which I just kind of threw out the perfect practice does not make perfect. Or, yeah, it does, right? Perfect practice makes perfect. Practice does not make perfect. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. You always got to, mix what you need to when you need to, right? You need to know when you're going to zig versus when you're going to zag. You need to know how to assess progress and understand that there is actual progress being made. And not only the whole concept of when it comes to real injuries, especially in someone who's a little older, and the tissue resiliency on the decline, that it takes more time to get well and to get stable. But regardless of even that acceptance, it's real progress only happens through the proper tracking of management. If you when I say tracking of management, I mean just think of if Aaron Rodgers' Achilles, he goes back out there too soon, the likelihood of it tearing again. I think it actually just happened to Deshaun Watson in the NFL. So little things like that are put in place for a reason. We're not all 20 years old with a little back tightness and we try something that we saw on Instagram and it works great. That likely is going to happen even if you don't do anything within the next 48 to 72 hours, depending on the severity of injury. Whereas when you're 45, 55, 65 years old and you get an injury and things stop working, you better hope that you are in front of the person that can assess you right so that you can get the care that you need. And again, I went on about in this video things that I've probably talked about a lot on this channel, but I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to not only have the proper evaluation, but to not waste time, doing something that's not going to be good for your injury. So that's the lesson for today. If you guys need anything at all, of course, always feel free to reach out, comment. It's always going to help if you subscribe, like, share, the whole nine on the channel. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. We've got some patients coming in soon. And until next time, it's Dr. Perlman.